like journalists have to hold themselves to a higher standard. If some asshole on the internet is tweeting something, that's one thing. But when you're talking about like the leaders of the field, like you know how many times did I ask you to reach out to Kamala?
Oh, a bunch of times.
Right?
What's up, people? It's your boy Toby, and you are welcome to the Toby Show. If you've not subscribed to this channel, I don't know what you're waiting for, man. Subscribe to this channel, watch these videos, leave a like, leave a comment, and share these videos with your friends. So Andrew Schulz and Charlamagne the God, absolutely love these brothers. Love their podcast, The Brilliant Idiots, one of my favorite podcasts out there, right? In the last episode, they were discussing the clickbait culture, how the media shares their information and how the masses receive the information and how dishonest the media is. Depending, it doesn't matter what side of the aisle you're on, whether you're Democrats, liberals, conservatives, Republicans, whatever it might be. But in this situation, Andrew Schulz was lamenting about how dishonest the liberal and the Democrats are in the way they share their information to their people, and how he's been a victim of that for a very long time, especially since he interviewed Donald Trump. Let's check out the video and react to it.
We got Schulz. I was at the University of Chicago this week, right? I had to do I don't know what you call it. It's one of those things where they want you to be there for 2 weeks, but of course I can't be there for 2 weeks. So I was there for the day, and they had the students come in and do office hours, and a bunch of different students would come in and have like one-on-one time with me, and then me and David Axelrod did a 75 minute conversation for the student body.
Cool.
But one of the kids there, because a lot of the kids there, most of the kids there are like
You were talking to media majors, or you were talking to
poli-sci. So a little bit of, but most of the people there are poli-sci majors, right?
That's cool.
Science.
For people that don't know what that is, that's political science students, yeah?
And one of the kids stood up, and a lot of them are media too. One of the kids stood up and asked me a question. He said, why is the media system broken? He was just basically talking about there's a broken media ecosystem. And, he was talking about, how clips and all this different stuff. And I said to him, I was like, the media ecosystem is not broken.
Okay.
The way we consume content is.
Talk to us.
Because we'll watch this
and let it define
a person's whole narrative. Let's use podcast for example.
Oh, dude.
I actually used your example. I actually used Flagrant as an example to the students. I was talking about the Pete Buttigieg interview. Mm-hmm. You can watch 2 minutes of that interview, and everybody, I saw people just mad, like, oh, what the fuck, why did Pete go on this show, blah, 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 this and that. I'm like, number one, did you watch the clip?
No.
And if you did watch the clip, did you go take the time as a consumer to literally go watch the full podcast?
Definitely not.
You have to nowadays. Mm-hmm. So
you're asking too much from people, especially in the climate that we are in right now. People's attention span is so short that some people cannot even sit down for 5 minutes to watch something. For 5 minutes. Now you're asking them to sit down for 2 hours, 2.5 hours, to watch a whole podcast, to get the narrative in regards to something. And that's the reason why the media does the whole clickbait thing and everything. And that's the reason why some narratives can get twisted so easily like that.
The media ecosystem isn't broke. The media ecosystem is doing what it's doing. It's up to us to go do our due diligence and take in the full context of things.
Okay, I think you're 100% right, because you're treating people with the most agency. You're an adult, and you should be able to consume things as an adult. Yes. And you shouldn't just be spoon-fed things that satisfy your lust and desire and hatred or support, whatever it is. Unfortunately, I think one thing you could say about media, and it's not just politics, by the way, it's medicine too, but like, it's very easy. I think most people, they have a certain feeling about the world, and they're going out there looking to satisfy it. And here's the dangerous thing. It's not just the consumers. It's the people in media also, because they get views and clicks on satisfying their own viewpoint, which is often their audience viewpoint. So like Flagrant's a perfect example, right? Because I've seen like, I don't want to go like liberal media, because it's not all liberal media, but I've seen like a lot of accounts and a lot of these so-called like journalists and experts, like specifically trying to like paint Flagrant in one way, right?
Yeah, as conservative.
And I go, if you...
For people that don't know, the Flagrant 2 podcast is the podcast that Andrew Schulz and his other friends, Akash, his other friends. So they have a separate podcast from the Brilliant Idiots. So that's what he's talking about.
You actually like watch Flagrant, and you know Flagrant. It might be the only pod, well, and Brilliant, with actual diversity. I'm not talking about the way we look. Yeah, we're diverse. Of course, naturally, you got a black dude, you have an Indian dude, you got a white dude, another white dude, right? But in terms of like intellectual diversity, like even diversity within Florida, Miles is this like liberal communist from Florida, his producer. But Mark grows up more conservative, religious. Akash grows up in conservative Texas, but he also has like liberal leanings because he was a brown dude growing up in Texas after 9/11, right? Me, I grew up liberal in New York. Alex grows up in this beach community out there in Far Rockaway, right? Like more like a surfer guy.
And lies about the hood.
And lies about the hood, paints his nails, etc. Right? Obviously, he's boogie boarding all day. So the point that I'm trying to make,
in the back.
Yeah, of course, in the back of his wetsuit for sure. It's only wet on land.
Absolutely.
But like, you actually get different viewpoints. We're like this manosphere bro pod. Two of the guys on the podcast have only had sex with one girl, the person that they married.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's like, they clearly, and I don't even know if they're aware of it. And that's the sad thing, because some of these people consider some journalists, they're not even doing the due diligence to look into what the show is, which is like, in my estimation, that and Brilliant Idiots are like the last bastions of true diversity in podcasting. And then we get labeled in this certain way, and they take clips out of context and don't even apply any of their liberal progressive values to them.
And
they'll just go, oh, this is meat, and I can feed it to my audience, and I'll place them in this certain way. Like,
and that's why I said it's up to the consumers. Like we keep talking, it's the consumer has to go do their due diligence.
Yep.
I listen. That's probably why we might come off as contrarians. Because if I see a clip of something, the first thing I'm going to do is I got to see what this is attached to.
But the thing is, right, in the climate that we are in today, especially when it comes to politics, right, the conservatives or the Republicans, the Democrats, liberals, or whatever, they treat politics like football game right now. They treat politics like team sports. So we are on our team. We will never say anything good about you. And even if we have to, we will find a way to give you a backhanded compliment while criticizing you and everything. And that's what that is about. You get what I mean? So you are not going to get a true representation of whatever it is that you are saying. They do that to Trump all the time. And also the Republicans did that to Biden and to Kamala. You get what I mean? So that's the climate that we are in right now. And that's the reason why the media personalities are also playing the game to their own advantage, because they are part of a team, part of a cocoon. So they have to feed their people information, or else they will get ousted.
100%.
And then I'm going to spend my day or whatever couple of hours watching this whole thing.
100%.
And then I'm like, oh, I understand the perspective now.
Bro,
I understand where this person was coming from.
There was this,
I get what they were trying to say.
I went on Trigonometry pod. You know those guys.
Yeah,
I went on and a clip, they got a clip from that pod, right? And I'm being so reductive because I'm a fucking comedian and I'm talking to other comedians, right? And I'm trying to talk about the context of the whole clip is how the priorities or the perceived priorities of political parties have kind of changed. Mm-hmm. And how when I was growing up and Democrats are the coolest thing on the fucking planet, we're like open and accepting, and we saw value in all these different communities. We're like, yeah, gays should get married. Gays are fucking awesome, and black people should have rights. And the conservatives weren't there during the civil rights movement. And Democrats really were, and that was awesome, right? Like the president Bill Clinton was cool. Like he was making an effort to like show that he understood other people. Not only is he going on a fucking Arsenio Hall, but there's a little part of us like, all right, this guy's getting his fucking dick sucked. And I'm so reductive, and I just make it about. And then I go, and now look at conservatives. They're the ones saying you should be able to say free speech, whatever the fuck you want. And what's his face got three baby mamas. And it's like, yeah, of course, I'm going to vote for the dude who's getting some pussy. I'm being so reductive on purpose. Mm-hmm. And the clip that they shows no context to the conversation. It's just me going like, I'm going to vote for the guy that got three baby mamas. He gets some pussy. And then it perfectly matches the manosphere perspective that they've created, right? And they don't allow any of the context in which they could learn from. You could learn about how people perceive your party.
They are not trying to learn nothing, bro. They are trying to clown you. They are trying to dunk on you, bro. That is what politics is today. Sports. That's it. These people are on one side. The Democrats are on one side. The Republicans are on one side. They would never say anything good about each other. And God forbid you try to crack a joke, they're going to use that against you. Nobody's trying to learn nothing. Everyone is just trying to shame you. That's just what it's about. You go what I mean? That is what it's about.
Through criticism. But unfortunately, they don't want to take any of that criticism. And without that, they won't learn.
No.
And they want that to be our fault so bad.
Well, they want to make us radioactive because then it means they don't have to change anything.
Yeah.
And there is a little part of it, and I don't want to go too far with this, but like, I think when you actually don't respect people that disagree with you, the thing that we have here is we have like mutual respect. It's one of the things that makes Brilliant. It's awesome. It's like we can disagree on things, but there's love here, so we have these fun conversations. Same thing with Flagrant, right? And I think it's the same thing with Breakfast Club. It's like the ethos of like how we've always created.
I just like good information.
Facts.
It's really that simple.
So, but the thing is, this is kind of what I think is like when you're so locked into your party's identity, you think the opposition is evil. Like I even saw the way wrong. And when you think people are wrong and evil, you don't respect them. You could speak down to them. People positioned the Pete interview, which went viral. And anybody who watched the interview, they were like, this is the best we've seen Pete. He's a real candidate for president. Like
every single person.
When you think that people are Nazis and Hitler and white supremacies and KKKs, when you label people with all them tags and everything, how would you respect them? Why would you want to have a conversation with them? And that's the problem. Because first thing they do is to dehumanize you, call you the devil. Would you have a conversation with the devil? No. So these people are not operating in good faith. That's all I say.
I know that actually watched the whole interview. That was their take.
It went super viral. The world saw it for that reason that actually watched it. But you can't get clicks by going, this is a great example of a good faith conversation and learning from somebody. You have to find a way. Like even when we agreed, the titles of the clips would be like, Pete, schools. MAGA.
Yeah.
And it's just like, you don't even know my philosophy on that. Like I agreed with him because it's my criticism of libertarians, but you wouldn't know that because you don't bother to try to know. Like they're making no effort to have good faith, even listening, let alone conversation. And it's just one of those things where I'm like, what do we do when you're positioned in a way that's so ridiculous? Do you?
Nothing you can do. And that's
you rebuke it? No, like what do you?
Nah, you don't even rebuke it. It's funny. People get mad, right? Like, I believe that there's a multiverse of all of us that exists.
Okay.
So that's why I don't even get mad when people be like, I don't like him. I don't know what version of me you saw.
You know
what I mean?
Is fire. So you don't like the version of me that someone told you I was.
Yes, it showed you something that might back up what they said to you.
And I might not like that version of me either. But you're not going.
Or I know what that was. Like you can tell me exactly what that trigonometry clip was.
Yeah.
You know what your intention was. You know why you were saying what you were saying.
Yep.
If I don't, and I'm just like, this is another one of those Manosphere podcasts. This guy right here, he's out of the Joe Rogan camp. Look at this.
Yep.
Look. Yep. Like there's a clip that went viral of Joe Rogan a couple of weeks ago, and it was Joe talking about deportation and how we can't live in a country where people don't have due process. You can't just be snatching people off the street. Basically, that's what he was saying. And I got that so many times in different group chats, and I was like, any of y'all that are surprised by this take, y'all don't listen to Joe Rogan. You don't
listen, and you have all these ideas of him which are complete bullshit.
I've been listening for 15 years.
Yeah.
This is exactly why people like somebody like a Joe Rogan. Yeah. And because he can be objective.
And they would rather believe that hundreds of millions of people are extreme right-wing MAGAs than this person is a nuanced individual with unique thoughts that 100 million people might relate to because they are also nuanced individuals.
Yes.
It's just, at a certain point in time, I think like journalists have to hold themselves to a higher standard. If some asshole on the internet is tweeting something, that's one thing. But when you're talking about like the leaders of the field, when you're talking about like GQ, when you're talking about New York Times, and they're presenting information and they tell the truth by lying. Like in all these articles, we asked, like, how many times did I ask you to reach out to Kamala?
Oh, a bunch of times.
Right? And like, you're connected with them. We've reached out to, we emailed, we have the correspondence. We showed that to these different people that write articles, and then they go to and then they say this thing that's like so fucking great because they can lie. They can lie by telling the truth. They go, we reached out to Kamala's people and they said that there was no effort to have her on the podcast. And now here's the thing. Kamala's people are lying. Obviously, you know that because you reached out on our behalf. Mark Cuban reached out on our behalf. We reached out directly on our behalf. We have the email correspondence to prove it. But all the article needs to do is say that Kamala's team said there was no effort, and then people believe that that's the truth. So if we're a right-wing...
But everybody knew that Kamala Harris was not doing interviews except podcasts that will praise her, lick her ass, tell her that she hasn't done anything wrong. Or like, she didn't want no objective conversation. Everybody knew that. You get what I mean? Everybody knew that. So that was the reason why she didn't come up to the flagrant 2. Everybody knows that.
Magapod, because we had Trump come on and we offered it to tons of Democrats and none of them would.
There you go.
Would we not be a right-wing MAGAPod if they ended up coming on?
Why are y'all not now considered a progressive liberal make America gay again pod?
Because we have people...
because it makes no sense. like it makes
Bro, I saw one thing that was crazy, and this is just...
Yo, it's a make America gay again. Bro, listen. I love these guys, bro. I love these guys. Great conversation, man. Great conversation. Go check out the episode. Absolutely loved it. And everything that they said is true, man. You get what I'm saying? Because we live in a time where people just quickly want to demonize you if you're not on the same camp with them. If you don't agree with what they're saying, they would demonize you, censor you, deplatform you. That's the era that we are in now. You get what I'm saying? Nobody's trying to, have a good fake conversation no more. And that's unfortunate. Hopefully we move past it. Let me know what you think about this video. Put your comments in the comment section. Watch these videos. Leave a like, leave a comment, and share the video with your friends. It's your boy Toby. Until next time. Salute.